Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Everything Kratom, the podcast about anything and everything Kratom. Great to have you with us on this Tuesday morning, hoping all is well with you out there today. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about a study that came out. It was July 2023, link in the description. And it was basically a survey of like over 600 people talking about what they experienced with Kratom, depending on if it was a red, green, or white strain. And the purpose of this is to determine if there's any merit to this idea that like red and green and white strains do actually offer different effects, and that it is not, or is it, a marketing ploy, or like, are vendors like these masters of deception and are just manipulators? And, what if the alkaloid profile is the exact same and other aspects are the same? Does that mean that that there's actually nothing different between these different varieties of Kratom and that vendors are just master manipulators? Or is it a little more complex than that? Or is that not the case? They're good questions and, ones that I want to figure out the answer to for sure.
But I don't think this study is the one that's going to tell us, because it's not like a double-blind placebo whatever test that that's supposed to take out all the bias and everything. This is just asking people their experiences, but I still think it's worth taking a look at. So they basically did an anonymous survey. It was of 644 Kratom users, and they compared their self-reported effects of red, green, and white varieties of Kratom. Most of the Kratom came from the same vendor. Let's see. Their conclusion was that marketing narratives may influence perceived effects, basically. And they're not quite sold on the fact that these are like really legitimately scientifically based strains when it comes to actually having the effects, that each strain is associated with having. Or at least that's how they're marketed. They did find that users reported very distinct experiences for different strains. The laboratory analysis showed no significant alkaloid differences across strains. So essentially, there's no difference between these alkaloid-wise, and yet people are reporting very different experiences based on if they're taking one strain versus another. And so there is something happening there. But is this due to marketing? Now, one thing that I did find interesting is that this is all, like, for the most part, most of these are coming from the same vendor. Most of these, samples of Kratom that people are taking or whatever it is, most of them are coming from the same vendor. So it makes me wonder, is the alkaloid profile similar because it's all coming from the same vendor? And the processing, the shipping, everything has been similar or the same. But at the same time, that's too simple, and there's more factors than that, and they are being, dried differently or prepared differently. So there's that. And then, of course, there's the other aspect of, maybe alkaloids aren't the only thing that are causing effects. Is that possible? I mean, I don't know. I'm just a guy here, but I'm just wondering, is it possible that the alkaloids only make up part of the picture? I would think so. But how much of it would be, how much of a green variety of Kratom versus a red, the sedative effects of a red, the raciness of a white, how much of that is coming from the alkaloids? How much of that is coming from something else? And if the alkaloid profiles are more or less the same, does that mean that there is something else there? Or does it mean that we're all just tricking ourselves into what vendors want us to think? So I'd like to think that it's not the latter, but I certainly don't discount the fact that it might just all be a marketing thing. Now, I've had the same experience with a type of Kratom across different vendors based on the variety of Kratom. I've also had very different experiences with the same type of Kratom through a vendor. The same vendor. So at the end of the day, I don't draw anything from this study specifically, other than the interesting aspect that people are reporting effects in line with the strain they're taking, and that the alkaloid content seems to be more or less the same or similar, but not the same exact, like to the dot 0.00000 nth degree, you know, like it's not like these are the exact same numbers all the way down to the very last decimal point. Maybe that small 0.001 is what makes it more of a racy thing, more of a stimulant, or more of a sedative thing down. Like, who am I to think that it would be anything otherwise? I mean, we're talking about very small levels of difference in certain circumstances, but maybe that's all it takes to change an effect of something entirely. Of course, if our minds are kind of like thinking about kratom in a certain way when we go into it all, who knows? Maybe we're making the effects as we go along. And something else this makes me think about is how I've seen a lot of reviews or experiences put online of people who are like just new to kratom, who just tried it, and they're trying types of kratom for certain things that I wouldn't do. Like, someone's having trouble going to sleep, and so they're taking a green. I don't know why anyone would take anything other than a red. Just from my own experience. Someone else is trying to take it for, like motivation and a workout routine. And so they take a red and a white. And I'm like, I can see that working, I guess, in certain ways. But like nowhere's in there are they looking for anything. I mean, maybe the red was for pain relief, but they weren't mentioning that. Like, they're first-time users online talking about taking this for this purpose and it works great. But everyone keeps telling me I'm supposed to be using a white. You know, like I see posts like that all the time. So I don't think, I mean, obviously, I don't think anyone should be telling anybody that a certain type is the way they should go and they shouldn't be taking what they're taking. Although I'm not recommending anyone take anything, of course. Just putting that out there. This show does not make any suggestions or recommendations. But when I'm personally looking online, I'm like wondering, do people who are new to kratom have kind of like I guess it would be like a really nice standing and really nice standpoint or position that they're in, that they, you know, they're lucky because you only get to be new to kratom once. And so is being new to kratom a way of kind of filtering through all of this stuff, which could be BS and it could be very real, so that maybe what we should do is maybe there should be a double-blind study only of people who are new to kratom, who've never taken it before and don't know anything about the different types. Because then, truly, there wouldn't be any marketing influence yet. There wouldn't be any influence of previous experiences with other types of kratom yet, which could or could not have been influenced by marketing. And then you can really get down to the brass tacks and be like, well, is placebo a thing? Or not? Is it playing into it or not? Is marketing or not? Is the alkaloid content level the factor if there is a difference? If so, how many points and how many decimals do you have to go down before it's not making a marginal difference at all? I don't know. Anyway, this is not the study to end all studies whatsoever. It's more of a survey, but I still thought it was worth bringing up because it started helping me understand what I think we do need to do to figure out more definitively, or at least more substantially, what's going on here with regards to the different types of kratom and if there's really merit there or not. I think there's certainly merit to it, especially like considering how you dry, ferment, do things like that with leaves. It's going to do different things to you. I mean, I would be surprised if it didn't, but there are other factors. So anyway, there's my 2 cents. All right, everybody. That's it for today. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks so much for listening. Talk to you all then. Bye-bye.